18th at 6:31 p.m. First up, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so something we started a little bit ago is going to go around each meeting and just do introductions because we might have some new community members either online or in the stands. So why don't we start online first? Rob, why don't you kick us off if you can hear us? Hope you can hear us this time.
Yeah, Rob Wells, Rockingham.
Mr. Clark?
David Clark, I represent Westminster on the Union High School Board.
Tanya Noyes for Athens.
Deb?
Oh, I'm sorry. Deb Wright, I was just appointed last night by the Rockingham School Board to the open seat in Rockingham.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be back.
Priscilla Lambert, Rockingham.
My name is Jamie Starrow. I'm the new interim appointment from Westminster.
Welcome to meet you.
Thank you.
Mike Stack, Rockingham.
Jason Terry, Board Chair, and Rockingham.
June Streeter, Westminster, and Vice Chair.
Nicole Barnett, Admin Assistant to the Superintendent. Darcy Sprague, Representative for Grafton.
Jim Vazina, helping out with finance.
Helping out with finance.
You are finance.
I'm trying.
So next up is adjustments to the agenda. I have one. I would like to, for 7A, I would like to make that 7G and everything else move up. Well, it's going to be 7F and 7A will now be Westminster vacant seat appointment. And the bullet point will be teacher, contract, executive session if necessary, committee appointments, separate. Communication and public comment. Is there any? Thank you, Brenda.
I have to say my name. Brenda Farkas. I just wanted to take the opportunity to just address the board and the community and thank you for the opportunity. I believe I was on the board since March and should not have been through some kind of procedural thing. So I just wanted to tell you though that I was very excited for the new people that I common sense, no nonsense, let's get moving. And Kanya, but I'm very excited for Rick and Mike and the parts that I got to contribute and to take part in. I love what you're doing. I was looking forward to working with you in that. And so I just wanted to let you know that. And I know I didn't have much time yesterday for presentation and preparation, but I did have a time to listen to Deb, and I hope that you should probably speak of yourself and maybe in director's comments, but if you get an opportunity to look at the interview from yesterday, you will know, of course you all know it, and when I found out that she was excited, I was like, uh-oh, because she breathes and bleeds community. so I also wanted to tell you that I thought you were very good, and one of the things that I really advocate for is the life skills part, and that was your passion for what you said last night, so I feel like you will represent some of my interests at the same time. So I see you. And yes, David, you did say the public will have the last day or whatever.
Absolutely.
You are so good. And so I just wanted to take that moment because ever since the whole thing happened, there's been a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication, including my Susan. I didn't answer an email, so she quoted something I did not say, since I think maybe maybe took some of the information that circulated, it caused, because Deb didn't even realize.
I didn't even read the article today,
She
I'm too
did-
busy.
Yeah, I didn't, I just know that I got a piece of it. So I just wanted to say it for myself, because I like to represent myself, I don't like to be misrepresented. And so it was always my intention to stay on the board. I had the issue that I did not get my signatures in time. I was a day late, we had some COVID issues at our house. COVID shut nations down, businesses down, our school down. But that statute had to stand, and then I then did the letter of intent February 23rd. And then we realized that there was a procedure. So I want to clear up that misunderstanding, and I want to thank you, and I look forward to hearing what you're doing. And I know that Deb has shared, and you all know Deb, she's a workaholic, so I get to go back to gardening and grandkids, and maybe even a vacation now. She's gonna have you crack it, because you don't have much time until school starts.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we,
Jason, can I note that it was a very hard decision, I'm sure, for the board. Brenda was an elegant applicant, and a hard choice, I think, for them to make.
I agree. Thank you for all you did for some of that. Next up, I'd like to, looks like we have to review and approve board minutes. So we have May 22nd, June 5th, and June 26th, which were emailed to everybody, and I believe that catches us up, to my knowledge. If that's incorrect, somebody will correct us. So I'd like to go around and I forget, do we need a motion to approve those?
You honestly, by Robert's rules, don't even have to have a motion, you just have to approve them as corrected. However, may I still note that May 22nd, still has not been corrected. The clerk needs to go back and review and add to the director's comment instead of leaving it open-ended and half-finished for my comments on May 22nd. I just pulled them up off the website again today to check that, and it has not been corrected as far as I know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Dave.
I would like to offer a motion to table, it's May 22nd or so? May 22nd?
May
Okay. I would
22nd.
like to offer a motion to table May 22nd to our next regular meeting so that we can be prepared to entertain corrections.
And that's just for that one.
I one only.
Okay, and that, when you say regular meeting, you don't mean next Monday, you mean that?
First meeting of the month, please.
Okay,
August 7th.
okay. So is that acceptable with everybody? Priscilla, is it, do you remember what they should be? Because Darcy helps with the
I did
minutes.
not go back and review them. I asked that the clerk review the tape and add the finalization of the comments because it finishes in half sentence. It finishes with one letter, an E.
Was that one recorded? Because that was our
Yeah.
retreat.
No, May 22nd. The
Okay.
24th was our retreat,
As it says Westminster Institute,
not the 22nd.
in-person meeting. Well, that's what I'm looking at right
May
here.
20, yeah, it does say an in-person meeting only, May 22nd.
That was the retreat, so.
So there
Darcy and I
was,
can
But it was,
Okay.
it was
If that's the
taped.
case.
It was
It
taped
was-
so other people could watch it, yeah.
okay.
Question. Are minutes required of a retreat?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, they were taken.
and we had to warn it and the whole hoopla.
Well, I understand the warning, okay, all right, thank you.
Could I get a motion to approve the 2 minutes with the exception of the 22nd, which we're going to hopefully have them right at our next regular board meeting?
Make that motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike. All right, let's do a roll call, please. Let's start online with
Yes.
Darcy.
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
What?
Yep.
Jamie, I think you got the, that right?
Yes.
Tanya?
Yes.
And Dave?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Okay, next up, we have Westminster vacant seat appointment. So do we need a motion to approve both of the people? I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. Dave?
I believe that the power of appointment rests with the local boards, and we blessed, if you will, with their decisions. So it would be entirely appropriate, I think, for the chair on behalf of the board to welcome them to the table.
I officially welcome you both and look forward to working with you. And Deb, I've known you for many years, and Jamie, it's going to be great to get to know you. So welcome, and looks like we just knocked out 7A and B. All right. Next up, we have ratification of the votes. So I believe because Brenda voted on some of the stuff from March to now, and Deb's here, we have to look to ratify. My question to the board is, has everyone had a chance to go back and look at all of the documents? June?
I'd like to make a motion to deal with the ratification of votes at our next regular scheduled meeting, so that it gives us all time to go back through the minutes since March and figure out what we voted on and be better informed.
So I make sure I'm hearing you correctly. You want to table the ratification until the next scheduled board meeting, which would be the first meeting in August.
Correct.
Right. And I don't think we need a second. Is there any discussion?
Jason, yes, and that's fine if that's what the board wants to do. However, I did check all of the votes, and there is no motion and no vote that would be impacted by a change in that particular thing, just one person.
That's great.
So just so that you're aware.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Yes, Deb?
In order to make sure that all the members, of course, not myself, because I would have to abstain from that, do they have a list of the votes that you've taken since then to see which ones? Okay.
I think
So
that is a
everyone can be
swell
in
idea.
agreement. I'm assuming if you minus one person out, Brenda,
Yep.
and it's still a majority win, then or pass, you pass the
Yep.
motion. So, thank you.
I think that's a great idea. Maybe we can also get that on the an agenda item, Darcy, or maybe you can make that an agenda for Andy to make like a bullet point kind of list. Am I reading that correctly, Deb?
That's probably the easiest, that's one thing.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Anything? Anybody? Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. I'm going to repeat it one more time. We're going to table the ratification until the next scheduled board meeting, which is the first week of August, and hopefully Andy or the powers to be will have us maybe a list of a checklist, and we can just go through it really quick. All right. Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
All right. Okay, next up, we have adoption of resolution of bonds. Jim, I believe this is your area.
We've got, in applying for,
Do you need them, or?
Oh, yeah.
we'll have the board do some signing along with our clerk and treasurer. And so I'll just go through, August 10th, the bond bank will make the sale for $4 million. So we don't know what our principal interest is. It'll be August 10th when we'll know that. I just want to go through the piece. So there's a resolution and certificate. And this has to be signed by the majority of the board. And that is, Nicole, do you have the original?
Yeah,
Oh,
Jason
you've got it
has
right
over
there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can get the board to sign and then, thank you. All right, perfect.
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on, Dave. Yes.
a point which maybe Mike Stack was about to bring up. Is this one of the motions that we need to ratify?
Yeah, so Jim, what I was hoping is maybe you can explain. Excuse me. Zach. Maybe you can explain how we got here, and maybe the audience out there would understand like how we got, why are we doing this?
Okay, so you passed a warrant article, actually passed 2 warrant articles, one for $2 million, I think it was for roof work, and $2 million for paving on the roadway. So after that passes, what we had to do was secure a bond counsel, a lawyer who handles this piece. Your bond counsel is Elijah Emerson. Now, he is with Primer, Piper, Eagleson, and Kramer. Now, the only reason I've used them in the past, and they certainly are well capable of leading you through this process to make sure everything legally is done correct. And both Nicole and I have been in communication with Eli to make sure we get everything signed, the boxes checked off, and everything is done. You know, people always wish that we knew what the interest rate was going to be and what we were going to have to, you know, cop out each year, but we don't. August 10th we will. I will say this, the one with the bond, after you get your money, it's not like somebody says, hey, here's $2 million or $4 million. Good luck, we hope everything goes well with the project. The money goes to US Bank in Boston. And again, you can't get at that money until you expend. So as we expend, we put in receipts and show the bank what we've expended or what we need for money. And that's when we get reimbursed. And it's not, I just will say this because I've been through it a number of times. It is not an easy process, but it's one that is required. Now, we can't, I mean, I don't know when the projects are gonna get off the ground and started. I mean, we'd love to get the roof done, membrane roof all installed, but I don't know what the timing is gonna be. We can't, I mean, we're going to invest the funds that we receive, but it can only be, there's a lot of restrictions in how we invest that money. Now, there's a term of arbitrage, which, you know, because if you said, gee, hey, let's go after some interest, Mascoma's paying 4%, and if we only had 3.5% interest, maybe we could make some money on it. Not allowed. Not allowed, and that's where US Bank will invest within the requirements that we're allowed. So there's a lot of stuff going to be going on, and I mean, we're looking at that $4 million, we're looking at $3.5 million for ventilation, air conditioning, renovation. So we're starting. This is only a start of what monies and infusion the district will have to make in its facility. So I just, you know, we certainly will try to look at all of the alternatives to make sure you're aware of projects as they're coming through.
Okay, thank you, Jim. David, does that answer your question?
Yeah, my question specifically is, what was the date of the board's action? Did it occur during this term since reorganization, or did it occur before town meeting? Because if it occurred after reorganization, I'm going to argue that a decision has been sequestered until the board addresses the issue of ratifying the motions that it took subsequent to reorganization, Jim. I don't think that we can make an exception in this one case, unless we want to reconsider the vote that we have taken.
So,
And let me explain this to you. We just tabled action on reconsideration of this board's actions going back to our reorganization of this board with new members. If the action taken to approve the request for bonding took place after this board reorganized, we are taking an action which is contrary to the action we just took to table.
so, hold on, I see all your hands. So that makes sense to me, David. Let me ask, is there a date that this needs to be done by, Jim?
Tonight.
What happens if it's not?
If it's not, it'll probably go into a spring, I think the next, and I'm not positive, but I think the next bond sale will be in the spring.
Now, is there a way to look that up? Do we know the dates when we took can we answer David's question? Do we have to stick with the ratification, or do we know the date?
Listen, I'm no legal scholar in this regard, but for me, the voters passed a warrant article
In March.
and in March, and honestly, the voters are who you really answer to. And again, all indication was that it passed favorably, and so I think it puts us in a position of trying to get it.
Okay, hold on a second, Jim. Priscilla, you get your hand up first, go ahead.
I'm just a little uncomfortable. I've got some questions here, because I was told over and over that, we didn't need to jump on this and do this right away. We had, that we weren't going to be able to do the road for a bit. I thought the roof was under ESSER funds, and that we wouldn't be going out and getting bonds immediately because we weren't going to be utilizing that money right away, and that's putting the burden on the taxpayers before we need the money. So I'm just not quite sure why this is right now and why we aren't waiting, because to me, that's what we've told the voters and that's what we should be doing.
And so I just want to clarify, so basically, I want to make sure I'm hearing what you're saying is you're kind of agreeing with what David said, which maybe find out who are we putting a cart before the horse, so to speak, and check the ratification. And I do remember.
Well, the ratification, Jason, yes, but also the fact that why are we getting all 4 million now when we can't do the road until the roof and, and we were told, and in order to pass it and tell people, we had told them that this wasn't an immediate thing. This was when we were getting to it and when we needed it, and ESSER funds would be first.
And plus.
And now I'm looking at being told that, no, we're gonna do all of this by making the taxpayers pay it out of pocket. I'm just really uncomfortable with telling the taxpayers that after I've told them one thing.
Not to throw a monkey in the monkey wrench, but I believe we also talked about PCBs too, and if that came back positive, then we wouldn't have to do any of these. These things would just go away. We wouldn't have to spend the money. So, are we getting the money now, and we potentially could have the PCB problem, which I don't think we have, but I don't know. But I mean, that's just another thing, I guess, I don't know. June, sorry.
I have a few different, I think that the board ratified, or the board made the motion and did the vote before town meeting and approved to put $2 million for the roof project and $2 million for the driveway parking lot area on the ballots for March to be voted on. I don't remember ever voting on it again because the voters
Yeah,
said,
they
yeah, you can always, you can have the money. But my question is, we can't do the driveway and the parking lot until the next summer. That's when it's slated for. So if we approve both of these now, we're locked into the same interest rate for both of them.
Yes.
And yeah, so I'm thinking that maybe we should wait and on the driveway one until next spring, you said it comes? I don't know, but, and then we only pay tax, or we only pay the interest on the money that we've used. It's like a line of
There's no confirmation that we really do need it because we can't start the projects. We can't do that. And if we go ahead, we're like Darcy just asked, we are paying for that. And we're paying around for 2 million, we're paying about 900,000.
Deb?
That's an estimate, depending upon the interest rate.
Two things. First, it appears clear that the ratification on number, which was what, C instead of D, is not a concern because the articles were on the warning for annual meeting and the voters said yes. So that should not be a problem concerning Brenda. So that seems to be clear. What's not clear to me from this position is separating the paving, which is another thing altogether. But the $2 million for the roofing, here's Priscilla saying this, and I heard it multiple times too, that since infrastructure is one of the things you can use ESSER money for, why are we not using ESSER funds to do the roof repair? I'd like to hear that answer. And I do understand, and it has happened in the municipality too, where despite the fact that we had money we could use to pay for it otherwise, we did go out to bond. It could be repaid through the use of these other funds that were available from the feds. However, bonding is still a concern. Voters won't be paying for it immediately. I know Jim can tell you how many months will go by before we actually have to start paying for it, but down the road, we will have to start paying for it, and it will be, no matter whether it's 2 or 4 million, and we will have to budget for that, which means we have to expect trimming for other things because we will be charging more to we'll tell the taxpayers their bill's going up to pay for this, just like any reconstruction money's there. So I would like to understand why we are not using ESSER funds to pay for this, for the roof, as I was told the last time I was on the board, that if we have the 2 million to spend on infrastructure, that we should spend the 2 million, ESSER funds, earmark them and get it used for infrastructure instead of going out to bonds. So I'd like the answer to that question, please.
So, before any more questions, I remember,
Rob has his hand raised.
who does?
Rob does.
Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
All right, I just want to follow up on what was said earlier. As a new board member over the last couple of months, to have this come up, to have to make a decision fairly quickly without our superintendent there to answer questions, I almost wonder if it makes sense. And Jim, I apologize for this, but if this is the date we have to do it and then we have to wait till spring, I worry why we consistently are in this situation where we're making last minute decisions. I feel uncomfortable with this as a community member and taxpayer because I don't want to rubber stamp this. And so I feel like all of us are asking questions that should be answered prior to a possible vote. So I would like to ask that we potentially table this when our superintendent can be back and be able to answer some of these questions, because I have similar questions about ESSER funds versus bonds.
So Rob, are you making a motion?
Yes.
Right, so we have a motion on the floor to table this until when, Rob?
I think next Monday's meeting is important, because time is of the essence.
So next Monday?
That's correct.
Motion on the floor to table this until next Monday.
Can we discuss?
Yes, let's
Motion?
discuss the motion. Jim?
Well,
Is it seconded? You don't need a second for small boards, right?
I was also told that we were going to use the ESSER funds, but before we use the bonds, but there was a concern that the ESSER money runs out September of '24, and that we wouldn't get the billing in time for that. So that was a concern that I remember, but I just wanted to verify that we're gonna use the ESSER money if we can. That's my.
So, before any more questions, I remember we had a meeting with the WNESU a while back, and we chose Hutter, and I'm not sure if this is if this is ESSER money. Maybe Jim, maybe you can help me with this. But 10.5 million of ESSER funds, but it doesn't really it's a breakdown of like all the schools. So again, to Rob's point, maybe Andy can answer, what's what, I guess, next week.
What it's composed of, what the $10.5 million is.
Yeah, where's it going? David?
Okay, first, I want to say that Deb has provided, at least to me, an adequate answer about this board's authority to go ahead and sign the documents that Jim is looking for signatures for. And I agree with Deb, based on what she has explained, that the action was taken at town meeting and that the board has been directed by the voters to sign it. Although I believe we do have some discretion. It's not compulsory, but we have their permission to do so. Now, the issue, and this is where I'm speaking directly to Rob's motion to table, is that what Jim has just told us is that if these signatures are not affixed to that document tonight, that this request for bonding will not be considered again until next spring. Is that correct, Jim?
There's either a winter and a spring bond, depending on, if they have enough people to go out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as much as I know. I don't think there's anything guaranteed.
Are we looking at a July 18 drop dead date on affixing signatures to this document.
Is there any wiggle room?
No.
No wiggle room?
No.
I mean, that's what Eli has indicated, that we're kind of up against the wall. But again, I don't want you to think that this has to be shotgun. Look, if you want to wait until a year from now to get your bond and save your interest and not get your project started, that's something that you, the board, can do. I mean, you don't have to get any project started. You know, if you wanted to hold off for a comfort level for whatever time you wanted. I mean, I don't think that, the whole thing is to try to link up having the money for design and starting the project to get things working. I've never seen, and I've been involved in a large number of projects, but I've never seen it so in sync that I saved $1.98 in interest and I just got the design done in time. I don't know. I mean, you may get lucky.
So,
May I follow it up, please, Jason?
yeah.
Okay. Jim, are there private lenders who would consider loaning money to this school district? And by private lenders, I'm talking about the banks.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are.
Is it your judgment, based on your experience as a business manager with long history of dealing with the bond bank and banks, private banks, and all of that, that we would likely pay more to, is it M&T Bank? Is that the entity now? That we would likely pay more to M&T than we would to the bond bank in interest? Do you believe that this is a favorable rate to be borrowing at?
It usually is very favorable in comparison to other loan situations that you could access.
So,
Thank you.
June, before your question, so I know we had mentioned the interest rate might be lower, but it also might be higher next year too, right, Jeff? Would it be higher next year, next spring?
Oh,
Could be one or the other, right?
yes, and my read is, I think you're gonna end up having a higher interest rate. As the economy starts to slow down, I think interest rates are gonna go up.
So we happen to have a professional in the building who might be able to help us with that answer. And on
Where's
his,
the crystal ball?
Yeah, it's all speculation. You know what Andrew Carnegie said about that.
what
So
do you,
anyway.
I'd like to query Mike. You've been pretty quiet about it.
Yeah, one question I have, do you know if this is issued as a municipal bond or is this like a corporate bond?
Municipal.
It is as a municipal?
Yep.
So those rates are low relative to a bank because of the tax advantage. So you've got that going for you. But I do believe that, and I don't know this law firm, but they have a tendency to bucket a bunch of these together and take them all at once. Would we be able to do that again in the future? I believe so. I mean, if it's a 3% on $2 million, that's $60,000. So, times two. Could we, do okay by holding off and waiting? I mean, personally, my crystal ball, the Fed's going to raise rates in the short term. They're going to take us into a recession. Rates are going to come down
I'm
again.
with you.
So, what's the actual timing on that? It's very hard to know. But I personally don't feel that we should pass this without knowing a lot of these questions. I think it was done before we came together as a board, and it was passed by the voters. But I don't think anything in that that decision said you have to do it by such and such a date. You have the opportunity to do it. Am I wrong about that, Jim?
No,
we can do this at
that's
some
right
point
on.
in time.
That's right on.
So we're not going to be spending the money. We can't get contractors. And guess what? The most recent crisis with the floods, we're not going to be able to get contractors. They're going to be busy.
You know, they were busy from COVID, they're gonna be busy from the floods. So my inclination is, if we're not comfortable with it, we're not getting the answers we need, wait till Andy comes back, readdress it. My guess is we'll have no problem taking this to the bond bank in the future at some point in time. And in the meantime, you know, I think a lot of the ESSER money is already spoken for. That's why we're not using that. And this was, you know, voted upon and decided upon. You know, there's issues that have been put on hold for too long, and we have to, you know, pay the price, and that's what we're at. And so that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Mike. Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure, go ahead.
So do you think if we were to put it on the next meeting, which is 6 days from today?
Yeah.
Do you think that would make a big difference?
In rates?
Yeah.
No.
So we could hold off tonight and put it on Monday's meeting?
I don't think, you know, I think the demand for municipal bonds right now, and I assume, Jim, we have a pretty high credit rating.
Yes, we do.
That the demand for municipal bonds is basically insatiable. We'll have no problem getting it. There's $9 trillion sitting in the economy right now based upon the Federal Reserve injecting all that money. There's no liquidity problems. We'll have no problem getting the money. And, you know, so I don't think we're not walking off a cliff here by not approving this tonight if we're not comfortable with it.
Thank you, Mike. June?
I have a couple questions. Is there a possibility that we could only do the roof bond tonight? Or approve the roof bond tonight? And my only concern is when the WNESU met and we had, what's his name? Our building guy, Mr. Horton?
Steve Horton.
Steve Horton. I was led to believe that product has already been ordered and it's like a 6-month wait time for it. So my only for the roof, that is. So my only concern is if we don't do the roof bond tonight, then he's gonna have to cancel those orders. And then we're going to be put back at the bottom of the pile for the HVAC and the roof. Because even if they have a December or a winter bond hearing, whatever, it's still gonna put us back. We can't take that chance, I don't think. Do you?
Jim, don't we have millions of dollars sitting in bank accounts right now as a result of reserves?
A few.
A few. I mean, not that we should depend on that,
No.
because it's going to be, but we've got cash sitting in the bank, looking at the last financial statement, that's.
Yes, you have right now in reserve 1.2.
So we could cover that equipment if, okay, all right, that was my only
So
concern.
Priscilla, are you,
Also, I think it's still under ESSER at this point.
I was hoping you were calling a question.
No, it's still under, well, I think, on a small board, you're really not supposed to call a question as long as there's anybody who wants to, because then you're affecting the minority, so I refrain from that.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think it's still under ESSER possibilities, so we need to, I really kind of want to wait to see what ESSER is
I
doing.
think we have a.
Is there any way to beg the attorney to give us until Tuesday morning?
That was my question. Can we wait till our Monday meeting?
Can we,
to deal
I
with it?
mean, throw them an extra 50
I
and
was
tell them
thinking, we
to.
really get the wall.
I see, I don't think it's so
Out of your
much
pocket,
him.
not mine.
I don't think it's so much him as the bond bank. They have some deadlines they're running up against. So,
Jim, I would just like to say on behalf of the board, I apologize that, you know, you're answering these questions when you're probably like, why am I here? Why is it somebody else here to
No,
answer these questions?
I really, I guess I concur, unless the board is comfortable, I wouldn't move forward. I mean, honestly, if you're not comfortable, no. So at some point in time, the more you discuss it, maybe at some future date, you will.
So I believe we still have a question on the floor, and the question is to hold off on these, hold off on this until the next meeting, which is next Monday. And we could probably put this first on the agenda. And then still have time to do what we need to do. So with that, I'd like to, All right. Fire away,
Sorry. Jim, is there any way you could find out if they have a winter
Yes, yeah,
bond
sure.
before the
I-
meeting?
I'll ask
All right.
tomorrow.
Perfect,
That'd be
thank
great.
you.
All right, so Rob, we'll ask you first, please.
Yes,
Yes, just want to clarify, means that you want to hold off on that, correct?
Table
Table,
that's
right?
correct.
Gets confusing sometimes. Darcy,
Yes.
June,
Yes.
Stack,
Table
Jamie,
Yes, table it.
Priscilla,
Yes.
Deb?
I'll say yes, with the proviso that we do have a list of what's in that $10.5 million bucket of ESSER money.
Yeah.
So we know what's supposed to be being done and what is left, because it makes a difference.
ESSER tutorials.
What's in the bucket? I'm writing that down
What's in
for
the bucket?
agenda. Tanya,
Yes.
David?
Yes.
All right. So that means that the next one, adopt and sign, we don't have to do that. And Kathleen, I apologize for wasting your time. And I appreciate everything you do for the town.
So just let me know if I need to come back.
Okay.
Nicole.
Thank you.
Will you come back next week?
Huh?
Will you come back next Monday?
Money?
Maybe. I will if you,
Our next meeting is next Monday at
Right.
6:30 right here.
you think you're going to do something?
I'll be in touch tomorrow after we
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mike.
So who pulls the ESSER funds? Who can pull that? Is that Andrew? He'll come back.
And he's not back till Monday, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay, well, think it's happy. It's really Nicole.
Let it be written, let it be done.
Okay. Next up, we have appointments. First one I wanted to go over is the committee appointments. Rob, you had mentioned that you didn't want to be doing the warrants. I didn't know if you had reconsidered that or if you change of heart, or because you being the assistant treasurer, just when I was reading up on Robert rules, it makes sense to me that the assistant treasurer signs the warrants because they can, it's kind of like 1A and 1B, where they can kind of report back to us how Jim's doing and something like that. So wanted to hear your side of it if I could.
Yeah, just the same thing, you had mentioned on June 12th for people if they wanted to take on some of the roles that Molly had. And I did not do that due to time constraints and bandwidth. So that's why I did not put my name in. And then when we had our meeting, we were muted and we didn't have things going on. So I wasn't able to address it there. But then I did email you and Andy right after the meeting, letting you know. So I'm still firm on that.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is, Deb, I'd like to appoint you as the district, the Bellas Falls Junior High School Board Assistant Treasurer and the warrant signer for our school.
Okay, I mean, I always had no problem going to see Marlene and taking care of the paperwork. So.
Okay. So I appreciate that. And Rob, I appreciate everything that you've done so far. So thank you for that.
Deb, you'll also have to go to Mascoma Bank and sign some paperwork.
Okay, yeah, but it won't be like immediate, somebody needs to let me know when
Yeah,
I need to do that, yeah.
I
just let me
can find
know.
out from Erica.
Not a problem, okay.
And Jamie, if you're up to it, I'd like to, Brenda was on the policy committee with Priscilla. I'd like to add you to the policy committee if that's something you're interested in.
Yes, can I ask what the commitment is? Is it extra meetings? What are we?
It's about one meeting a month now. We were doing 2 or 3 when we were trying to finish the required ones. But we're trying to keep it to about once a month. There's a meeting next week on Tuesday, I believe.
Priscilla, can you give a little more feedback? Like what are some of the things that you've done so that maybe she can, because you've done a lot of great work with it, so.
We actually, the policies are all supposed to be reviewed within a 3 to outside limit of 5 years. And we found some policies that hadn't been done for 15, 20 years. So what we did was we started and we reviewed all of the required policies. We got all of those done within that year and a half that I was doing it. And now we're working on, there's 2 more required policies that are on the website, F3 and F4, and which are fire and emergency preparedness drills and access control and visitor management. There's a third one that goes along with that, F-26 security cameras. The F3 and F4 are required, and they're brand new. The SBA State Board has put those into effect, and they're supposed to be approved by August 1st. So they will be on our next agenda because they were posted June 28th. And we probably won't in all of our boards get them done by August 1st because the WNHU board is not meeting until the 2nd. But they have also said, as long as we get them done by the start of school, we're okay. And a lot of the stuff that's in those policies are things that our districts actually were already doing. And when we vote on next week, we can talk about exactly what they are. But those are the kinds of things that we have to do. We have to review the policies and do that. We have to look at anything new that the boards want us to add to our policies. And it's one of the biggest things that the boards do. We do policies and financial oversight. And so those are, and curriculum, those are the basic things that we are responsible for. Yeah, it's a big thing, but 1 hour meeting, I keep it really tight.
Okay.
To 1 hour. We had moved it up to 5, but it's back at 5:30 to 6:30, so that people can count on that. And we meet at the supervisor union. If the high school board needs a separate policy, then we would meet, like you and I and anyone else from the board who wanted to attend would come and we'd talk about one specific to the high school.
So basically, I just want to summarize, thank everybody here, and you, Priscilla does a great job of looking at all the old policies and kind of modernizes them and checks the spelling, and then you guys agree upon them, and then you bring them back to the boards and we vote on them and then go back in the binder for the next 20 years or so.
Okay.
Or however long she wants to do them. But she's done a great job with all of that stuff, and I appreciate that, Priscilla, so thanks for everything you've done with that.
Before I say yes, let me just think about it. I've got to do a little coordinating. Got little ones at home, so just making sure
You have
that
10 seconds.
I can.
Why does she get a limit, but everybody else is just?
Okay.
She do, try to be nice. Okay.
Encourage in person, but we can't do it by Zoom.
So next up, we have, there was a contract, let me make sure I say this correctly. Kelly, who cannot be here tonight for personal reasons, there was a potential hire, so, and that person is not here, so I wanted to query the board. Do you think it's a good idea to maybe go on an executive session to talk about it, or what's your pleasure, I guess? David.
Okay, it's my belief, Jason, that if we are going to discuss appointments and we don't have a full understanding here at this table now, that going into executive session is appropriate, because I think this is one of the situations where premature public knowledge could disadvantage either a candidate or this board. So if the chair is ready to entertain it,
Yes.
I will offer a motion.
Go ahead.
And the motion, Jason, is to go into executive session to discuss staff appointments where premature public knowledge could disadvantage the candidate or the board.
Okay. And we have to vote on that, correct?
Yes.
All right. Rob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Yes.
So, Deb?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
Okay.
There's gonna be a brief intermission because Nicole doesn't know how to do that, so she's going to find Ricky.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And so then we're gonna have to come back out and finish.
So I'd like to, can we take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll get that set up, and then we'll go into executive. There you go. I'd like to continue the meeting. We're coming out of executive session and no action has been taken. Deb, do I need to say anything else?
No, you can't take any action in executive session anyways.
Okay, so we're not taking any action. All right, thank you. Told you guys, I was gonna mess up a lot.
Okay.
So up next, we have unfinished business discussion action items. So board goals, development of goals. So the only thing I would like to just say about that, and we had a lot of good discussion at the last meeting, and I would like to just ask Mike, since he did a retreat, I would like to see if you could try to either get us a retreat together, either end of August or beginning of September. I'd like to actually do it before school starts, if possible. Everyone's gonna be busy everyone's busy regardless. So whatever you can do to get a retreat, I thought it was positive, and then we can probably hammer out these board goals and get it done with. So that's really the
Are
only
these
thing.
individual goals or are these goals
These are-
that we as a board wanna?
These are goals that we want to give to Andy, like our goals are.
Gotcha.
One is finish unfinished business.
Yeah.
2 is better communication from top down.
Yeah.
Down up, stuff like that. I know those are 2 specific goals. And then the other one was Rob's with the support. I can't specifically remember what it was.
Yep.
So that's all I have
Happy to do it.
for that. Any other discussion on that, or move on?
So you're talking about planning a separate little meeting where we just focus on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it still has the same rules. We record it, but then,
But
there's,
it's in person.
yeah, it's in person. It's a little bit more relaxed, and there's
Yeah.
food.
Did everybody like the last
And
place that we,
It was
Yes,
wonderful.
everybody was
yes,
happy
the
with that?
last place was great.
Nicole,
I will
you and me?
check on it, yep.
Okay.
We'll work on it
Well,
together.
again,
And the last time we did it on a regular scheduled meeting night.
yes.
So.
Would you prefer that? or
Yes, please.
If we can,
So that way it wouldn't add another meeting to your monthly meetings, yeah.
okay.
Got it.
Yeah, we meet a lot, Deb. You ready for this?
Oh, hell no. Okay, I'm stepping.
Committee updates. Do we have any committee updates? Did anybody have any meetings since our last meeting? Anything to update? We haven't had a buildings and grounds. Kelly sent out an email to the building and ground committee with a lot of the wonderful things that she's been really taking the bull by the horns and doing a lot of work, taking a lot of initiative. So very commendable. Again, I wish she was here, and I'm sure she can talk about it at the next meeting.
That would be a great opportunity to get that list of projects and how they're being funded. That, we could kill 2 birds with 1 stone in terms of not only being aware of what she's doing, but how are we funding these? How do we expect, which ties into the muni bond?
Do we know, she's gonna be here Monday, right?
Yes.
Also?
I believe so, yes. So just for Deb and Jamie, so what I've asked is, when we have committee meetings, what I'd like to do is just kind of go around, if we have something going on, just kind of enlighten what we've done and what we're doing. So we're doing our part to communicate up to the top, to portray great leadership so they can, reciprocate and communicate down to us. So I think that's our goal, and Deb's gonna have her hands full with, micromanaging, assisting Jim with, stuff like that to report back to us.
And bringing the report back at.
Yeah, just, what's going on,
Is it
stuff like that.
Every meeting or once a month, or how do you want?
Just, once a month when we do the committee. So it's ask
Yeah,
for
once a
things.
committee, right,
How the
yeah.
meetings work, how the second meeting is basically for.
Go ahead.
Well, we've been trying to update the curriculum. So the second meeting of every month is designated not only for, but designated primarily for community
Speakers.
input, stakeholders
The portrait of
input.
a graduate.
Yeah. So we do sneak in we dealt with the second meeting, but the first meeting is generally the biggest one, and then the second one, we work with Mike's people.
And let me just go over just, so I have a checklist of who's what. So June is the vice chair. Mike Stack and Deb are gonna be signing warrants. Warrants are like payroll and bills and stuff like that. So they go in and they verify to make sure that money is accurately distributed. We have a buildings and grounds, which is Mike, Rob, David, and myself. And the budget committee is Mike. And again, you can go to any of these if you want to. They will be announced. Finance committee is Mike. The clerk is Darcy, which has a huge job actually, to make sure that the meeting minutes are in on time. And so herself and Tanya did a great job the last two meetings. They've been in on time and they haven't been like that for a little bit. So keep that up, Darcy. Thank you. Assistant treasurer is Deb, and the WNSU committee. So we have another board, believe it or not, that like, it's like the WNSU is a collection of all the boards. So it's on that board is myself, June and Mike, on the tech committee, which is Brattleboro and Springfield. That's both of them, right?
I'm on Springfield. David's on Brattleboro.
Okay. I forgot one. Negotiations is June. The SIP committee, which is the kind of the recovery COVID plan, is Darcy, and policy is yourself and Priscilla.
Who's the treasurer, if I may ask?
You.
No, I'm
You're the assistant treasurer.
I'm the assistant treasurer.
So the treasurer, so we have.
Oh, that's Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, I wasn't sure.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Up next, we have director's comments. No other questions. Rob, go ahead.
Thank you. Just real quick, I want to welcome Jamie and Deb to the Bells Falls Union High School Board. I look forward to working with you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Darcy?
Same, I want to welcome Deb and Jamie. Look forward to working with you. I want to congratulate Kelly. July 1st, she was officially our principal here at the high school, and I'm looking forward to working with her as well. I think she's an amazing person. I want to thank Jim and Nicole for all their work. There's been a lot of emails and work for this bond business, and I know that we're putting it off till Monday, but there's been a lot of hours put in, especially by Nicole. So thank you for all that you do. And I just want to keep, as a board, just keep rebuilding. I feel like there's so much work for us to do, and we can do it. And we just keep meeting and keep plugging along, and we'll get there. So thank you all.
Thank you, Darcy. June?
Just a couple things. I'd like to thank Nicole because she does put in a lot of hours and her hands are in just about everything. So I'd like to thank you. And I'd like to welcome Deb back. I think you're nuts for wanting to come back after you were off.
Well, you guys are still here.
But I look forward to working with you again, and I'd like to welcome Jamie, and hopefully we can get some things done and get some relationships repaired and be productive.
Thank you, June. David?
Thank you, Jason. Well, first off, yes, I would like to join the other board members in welcoming Jamie to the Union High School Board. I hope after you spend some time here that you'll consider staying on this board. I do also want to recognize Brenda's fairly lengthy service on the Union High School Board. I think that one of Brenda's great attributes is that I really think that Brenda had a strong handle on what I would refer to as the human perspective, and enjoyed working with Brenda. And it is equally true that I have enjoyed working in the past with Deb, and actually I'm kind of excited about this because, forgive me for saying this, Deb Wright is a pile driver, and I think we can count on staying focused on the task at hand and asking the critical questions when it's timely to ask those questions, and we can expect that Deb will be looking for the follow-through. So glad to see you back, Deb, and I hope that after Brenda has the opportunity to enjoy her sabbatical, that she'll be back at this table in the future.
Thank you, Dave. Tanya?
I have nothing.
Thank you, Tanya.
I don't think there's much for me to say, except that with all this, thank you. I love your hair, I'll say that. And I'm sure that Jason is gonna take every opportunity to pile some more stuff on there, so.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. Thank you, and those who know me, welcome, I welcome you back. Those of you who don't know me, apparently they're going to talk to you about me, so, as they're already doing. So, anyway, yes, I like to be direct. I don't try to mince words. I try to be polite, but I do not mince words if I can avoid it. And I like to cut down to the chase, because I'd like us to get stuff done. I'm a little disappointed we had to table a bunch of things tonight, but it seemed appropriate. But doing lots of that means nothing happens, and we just spin our wheels and we talk for 2 hours, and then we go home unsatisfied and come back and do it again. So I will do my homework. I'll read it back up in the minutes, and maybe somebody can clue me in on what happened since March to July, to say we need more action than more changes than I thought we needed before I left. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Deb. Priscilla?
Yes, it was delightful getting to meet my new Westminster colleague. And I know the Rockingham board was extremely impressed with Deb's answers last night and what she wanted to contribute to our board here. We did appreciate both candidates being interviewed last night, and we appreciated Brenda's time that she has put in, but we also, I know the board members also appreciated Deb and her answers. So I chose Deb, and I know she'll be a good asset to us, and I look forward to working with her. It is important that each of us appreciates the contributions that every other board member makes to this board. We all have different ideas, but by melding them together and working together, we are able to really bring forward some great things for our students. And that is our goal. They are our first and foremost place that we're putting our efforts into, is doing something and helping them succeed. And our second is to be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. So I think that's a balancing act that all of us work hard at, and everybody here needs to be appreciated for doing that.
Thank you, Priscilla. Jane?
I want to thank you all for welcoming me. I just want to say I'm excited to be on the board with you all and look forward to helping this community, these students, with the work that we do. I know that you all have, from an outsider, been through a bit lately, but I just want to also say that I really sense a lot of positivity from this board, and I really see that you have drive and passion for this. So I sense that positivity, and I think we can do a lot moving forward together.
That's great. Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, welcome to both. Look forward to working with you. The listening tour continues, so our next session will be on the 24th, which is next Monday. And we've got a great lineup, I believe. Scott Farr, who's a director and the superintendent up at River Valley Tech Center, will be here to speak about the tech program. And also we've got a student, Andrew Dunbar, and his father, John. Andrew is a rising junior at Bells Falls, and he'll tell his story about getting to tech and what a success story that's been for him in terms of turning his academic career around. So I'm looking forward to that input. Then on August 28th, we've got Mark Ebo and Andrea Carlson, our two guidance counselors, coming in, and they're going to speak specifically the flexible pathway program and essentially how they go about trying to customize the academic plan for each student so that we are meeting the needs of all students. So I think, and I've got others lined up after that, no specific commitments, but other people have made recommendations, and Kelly actually has been in touch with some of the folks that she worked with down at Goddard, and she's talking about bringing them in. So we've got all kinds of input that's going to continue to come. And, I think as I've sat back and listened to the commentary out of Casey Coda, Mary Wallace, Deb Cardane, there's a lot of commonalities, there's a lot of overlap in terms of what people are talking about. We're all coming at it from different angles. One thing I would like to say is we really want more input from the community. So if you're out there listening, we want input from you. We have set this up, some people like restaurants that have reservations, some people don't. I happen to be somebody that when we try to do too much in a meeting, it kind of devolves into chaos. So we've kind of been a little bit organized in terms of bringing in specific speakers, but that does not mean we want to exclude people. So I want to set the message loud and clear that there are people in the community that they don't have to make a long presentation. They just want to give us input about what they'd like to see for the high school students here, from a curriculum standpoint, from a characteristic from a graduate from Bells Falls High School. That's the purpose of this listening tour, and the community is a key piece, because the bottom line is that's who we're trying to satisfy with what we're doing on the board. So that's the update on the listening tour, and I'll work on the retreat for the goals and objectives, and I think we can. This piece is one of the largest, I believe, the key cornerstones to what we're doing here. But there are other pieces too that we can add to that list of goals and objectives.
Great, thanks, Mike. So I just have a couple things. First, I wanted to say everyone here is different. I'm different from everyone else, and it's really neat talking to everyone. And we all bring something different to the table, and I appreciate every single one of you. And it's together we can do a lot of great things. I know we can, and you can, and that kind of transfers into what our state has done in the last 7 days. Personally speaking, we've had a lot of customers in Jamaica, Ludlow area, that their homes are devastated. But to see, Vermonters, out there with shovels and, scooping up mud and getting rid of it, and it's pretty neat. So, that's inspiring that we can keep going forward and doing great things. And Deb, what you mentioned, and I think in my mind, I have a vision and an end game of what I would like to see next year, right sized for our building, whether it's more or less, just right size. And I want to do great things in our school. I love our town, love our school, I do. Also want to, mention Brenda. I probably, when you first meet Brenda, like, I'm kind of an introvert, and Brenda's an extrovert. So I would not talk to Brenda, but then, getting to know her, I would share a meal with, her and her family any day, just sit down and break bread. And I think she's a really good quality person. And I'm gonna miss her, and I think she'll be back. And I think that's great. She's done a lot of great things for our community. Nicole, I want to thank you, for what you've done in Andy's absence, and he's really done a really good job of surrounding himself with some really great people. You're doing, you just do a lot of stuff that probably is unnoticed. So I don't know if we get to sign your review, but I would. I think I'm sad that Kelly couldn't be here. She had a personal matter to take care of, a real personal matter, and it is what it is. And she has, everyone has things. But she prepared in my opinion, a fabulous principals report. And the one thing that I've been banging my fist on the table was, you know, we get the same thing. No details, no measurables, no nothing. It's just, everything's fine and dandy in the building. And it's really not. And as you can see, it's what, July 18th still? You know, July 1st, and even before July 1st, she was really, you know, this is what's going on. It's real simple. This is what's going on. This is what I'm doing to fix it. This is where we're going. And, you know, me, I like that. And it's, you know, initiative, drive, tenacity, all those words. So, you know, I appreciate what she's doing, and, you know, I think she's doing great so far, and it's really energizing for me. So, thank you all. Date of our next meeting, it's next Monday at 6:30, July 24th. Nicole, if it's okay with you, I would like to maybe get with you maybe Thursday to finalize the agenda, get it out on time. For agenda items for the next meeting, the only thing I have is the bonds, and the following meeting, I have the expenditure of capital funds for HVAC upgrade, whatever that means. Ratify the checklist, the minutes for 522, and policy stuff.
Can we put principal's report on Monday's meeting? Because she did do a fabulous.
I think she had planned on, so I think either it was gonna be next week or the following meeting, but she was going to do it all again and update us with what's been going on since then, and kind of have a bigger one with buildings and ground stuff too.
Okay.
So I think she's either planning it for
Because I
next.
have questions.
I think her
on
email said she would have it to us Friday.
Okay.
And how about that? She had it to us, you know, 3 days
Yes.
ahead,
Yes.
so that we could
Yeah.
review it and have good discussion. So things are happening, and it's really cool. And, you know, I have until next March, so that's my goal. So, thank you. So I call this meeting adjourned at 8:15. Thank you.
Thank you very
Under
much.
2 hours.
Yeah, under 2 hours, that's a
Table.
win-win.
Table most of it.
We'll make a note.
Yeah.
Just in case you want to say that.
Oh, this issue is your goals.
Right.
Okay, great, great.